What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. I apologize now for all the noise that you may or may not hear. As you do or do not know, I am traveling. And so when you travel, there's just a lot more things that are out of my control. So I'm going to try to move to a more secluded area so you don't get as much of this noise and we can get into today's video. What I wanted to talk to you guys today about, I've said this a lot in the past, and I think I'm going to continue to say it into the future because if there's one thing I've realized is you have to say certain things many times again and again and again and again before the person who is supposed to be receiving it can actually conceptualize and receive it. For those who already know, this is just going to serve as a reminder. But the thing is, if you are a man, and I'm sure it's the same for women, they just have different things they have to do. But for a man, you are able to do anything that you want to do. Now, when I say that, most guys come up with whatever type of excuse that they're willing to throw at me. And that kind of rolls us into exactly what it is that I want to talk to you guys about today, which is every man for himself. And I think I'm going to title this video that one of the things that I like to do with myself is remember who we are as human beings at our baseline, at the foundation of who we are. A lot of the times, a lot of people believe the mirage that is society, that is everything that goes on around you. But I like to remind, at least my audience, guys, I'm assuming who want to be more masculine or are more masculine and need that more of a reminder, is every time that you step outside of your house, your apartment, your condo, whatever, and you breathe in that fresh air, you are stepping into nature. And nature only has a couple of rules, the main one being survive, okay? And it's usually survive by any means. And it's very, very, very important that as a man, you are rooted in that, because it explains a lot of things, a lot of BS that you are going to encounter into the world. And it allows you to see through the BS, shift through the BS, because you understand that most people will feed you a ton of lies. But the reason why they're even doing anything or any of this in the first place is because, again, they're operating from that base level of survival. Now, many of us have our own way of surviving. There are people out there who survive by being a leech. They survive by being ticks on to other people. Now, listen, this isn't the space where we judge individuals, okay? It just is what it is. I'm trying to keep my talks and my mindset as it is what it is, because it's like being upset that the wind is blowing in a certain direction. This is just human nature. You cannot change it. And I'm really glad that I mentioned that, because that's kind of what it's included in what all that this talk is going to be about. So again, we all have our different means of survival. There are people who are leeches. There are people who are ticks. There are people who are willing to sacrifice themselves for others. There are people who are willing to be a part of a, what's that word? Symbiotic relationship, which is simply I give to you, you give to me. I believe I'm using that word correctly. The people who live in that way. There are some people who take advantage of other people, right? There's many different archetypes. There are different types of psychoanalysis, whatever. You guys get what I'm saying. Personality types, whatever. Okay, and so one of the first rules of being alive, at least in this realm of you being a man, is you have to figure out who you are first. Usually, if I say something like, oh, you're a leech or you're a tick, not you personally, but if I said that, oh, there are leeches and there are ticks, a lot of guys are like, oh, I'm never a leech, I'm never a tick. And it's like, you have to be very careful about denouncing things that you secretly could be, because if you denounce things, then you'll never associate yourself with certain characteristics of that which you actually are, given certain situations. Does that kind of make sense? I hope that makes sense. But anyways, back to what I was talking about. It goes back. I used to say this thing where a lot of men operate on the way that they believe the world should be versus how the world actually is, and it's a lot more simple, though dark, compared to the fantasy, compared to the ideas that's been fed to us. But a lot of us don't operate in the sense that we this is survival, okay? And so the reason why I'm saying that, it kind of goes back to my point of you can do whatever it is what you want as a man, as long as you are able to do what it takes. That's the part. You guys know that sometimes I dabble into the black pill, more of a fly on the wall. I have this giant, not even giant, I have this deep urge to wanting to like throw advice. It could be just the type of person I am, the type of archetype that I am. But I'm controlling that, and I'm just kind of listening to their woes and their mindset. And one of the things, and for those of you who don't know what the black pill is, a lot of black pillars believe that if you are a certain way, you are trapped and locked into that destiny or that fate. I'm sure it goes deeper. I'm sure there's a lot more nuances that I'm not yet understand. But in a sense, a lot of people believe that if you are not X, then you will never be able to be X. And, that's just how life is. But one of the things that I've realized about all of their mentalities, 99% of their mentalities, is most of these guys are not willing to do what it takes. That's really it. They're not willing to do what it takes. And I think a lot of them have such an idea of the world that it's not actually rooted in reality the way that they think it's rooted in reality. So let me give you guys an example of what I'm talking about. The easiest example that I think a lot of guys can relate to is women. And so I was listening to this guy, and he was complaining that he couldn't get girls. And essentially he was like, I tried cold approaching and none of this worked. I've tried it more than 25 times. And, every single time I got rejected, they looked at me like I was disgusting, yada, 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 right? And in my mind, I found it actually funny because it shows me how much of a lack of experience that you have, not only in that category, but in the players that are actually playing that game. Okay? And what that means is, let's say you're a 5'5" guy, your face is not pretty, you're like a 4 or 5 out of 10. You really have nothing going for yourself. You don't have any money, you can't really dress well, yada yada, right? I'm assuming this is what these guys kind of look like, and when they go out here, they're like, they shoot their shot 10, 15, 25 times. It goes horribly wrong, of course, as it should. And they are completely like, you know what, I'm done. It's because of whatever bias that they have about themselves. I'm too short. I'm not attractive enough. I don't have enough money, yada, yada. I've talked to thousands of guys at this point personally, and I can tell you every guy has an excuse, even myself. I may not be aware of them, but I try to be. Everybody has some type of excuse of why they can't do the thing that they want to do. But again, so you take that guy, right? But then the reason why I found that laughable is because as a person who was in that game, I understand that's not even, like, you didn't even make it out of the tutorial phase. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, and again, this is going to piece together. It's kind of like guys who looks max. Before looks maxing became like this very popular thing. I don't know if it's popular. Maybe it's just on the side of the internet that I'm on, right? But before it became talked about as much as it is now, when you were in those spaces, you weren't speaking with like ugly guys, okay? Now, of course, there's some guys that could, get some work as far as like, getting a haircut, basic hygiene routine. But you're mainly talking to either dirty guys, which are guys who, they don't shower every day, or they don't keep up with their grooming, or they don't smell great. You know what I'm saying? They're not using a certain deodorant. They're not interested in colognes, yada yada, right? But the majority of these guys, and this is the thing that'll shock you, the majority of these guys were like 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, even, who are in these. And you're like, wait a minute, because again, most people are looking at it from their own world. A lot of human beings are selfish, myself included, you included. A lot of us are selfish. We think the world is how we are, you know. I shouldn't think for you. I'm just going to say me. I think the world is exactly what I go through or my experiences are. And I'm working on that, of course, because, you know, as a person who talks to other people, I have a lot of references from many different points of view, yada, yada. So yeah, when I was in this looks maxing thing, I realized that, you know, the basic advice that most of these guys will give you is simply keep up with your hygiene. Make sure you're washing your face. Like, have a hygiene routine for your face. Most guys don't have that. Make sure you're regularly getting a haircut, either once every 2 weeks. I've seen more richer guys get them once a week. I mean, I think that's excessive, but it is what it is. Or at least once a month, right? And then, you know, make sure your clothes, your fashion, it's a whole bunch of little things that are stacked up onto each other. And so it's like, listen, as a guy who like, and let's just throw height out of it. Let's say you're a guy who's slightly unattractive. You're not making sure your dressing is on point. You're not making sure you smell good. You're not making sure that you're not trying. You're not trying hard enough. Versus you're going against guys who are 7s, 8s, who are actively trying every single day, who are going out and researching what are the best what is it called, hygiene routines. What's the best haircut for my face? What's the best? They go to stylists. They're doing what it takes. These guys, and it's like, yeah, that's why they're beating you. A lot of guys are like, oh, they're beating me because he's handsome. And they're like, no, because if you ever like been around handsome people, you realize that these people are probably more insecure than you, and they have these things. And that's the craziest part, is like you realize that you're not doing enough. You're not trying hard enough. You're not putting in enough effort. So let me just wrap up this point by saying this, right? These guys, like the guy I was listening to, he said he talked to 25 girls, right? There's a guy on YouTube, not on YouTube, on TikTok. What's his name? It starts with like a Z. Anyway, this guy is not an ugly guy, okay? As men, we can say that, no diddy. He's not an ugly guy. Okay, and so when I mean not ugly, I mean his face is not deformed. He has a six pack, a well defined six pack. You could tell he works out. He's got a little bit of size on him. He's got a social clout, right? Okay, this guy is shooting. He's doing what he says do. He does 100 DMs a night. Now again, he could be lying as far as like 100. But again, he'll show like a bunch of proof, and he'll simply be DMing like IG baddies, like, you know, girls who are 8s, 9s, and 10s, right? Now, majority of those shots, of course, like anybody in the game will tell you, are going to miss. But he has a 1 to 5% acceptance rate, which is amazing, at least for what he's doing and the quality that he's going for. And it's like that. It's like, imagine you went 25, you shot your shot 25 times. For the year, and this guy's a guy who's better looking than you, who's trying harder than you, is doing 100 DMs a day. And you know what? Let's call him a liar and say 25 DMs a day. That's still astronomical. And again, that's on the internet. I didn't even talk about his active social life. You get what I'm saying? And so when we see guys like that and they have attractive women, we're like, oh, you know, oh, it's because he's attractive, or oh, it's because he's tall, or oh, it's because he's... And it's like, no, it's simply because he's playing the game like the rest of us. There's guys out there. I saw another guy. The guy was like 5'5". You guys have probably seen this, right? Where the people who are short, they get that... the I want to say leg reconstruction, but it's not that. It's like basically they break their legs and they stick like a metal rod in there, and they're adding inches to their height. And, you know, you separate the bone a little bit and the bone grows back. You separate it again, it grows back a little bit. It's like that. Guy goes from 5'5" to 6 foot. And the thing about it is, most guys in those comment sections and the people who talk about them, or these types of guys, will say like, oh, they're doing too much, or, oh, like, it's not worth it, like, oh, insecurity is a bad thing. Whatever you feel about it, again, we're talking from a place of non-judgment. Whatever you feel about it, that's what he did. That's what it takes. You get what I'm saying? Like, he was willing to spend tens of, I believe the surgery is very expensive. High five, is it 5 figures? 1, 2, yeah, high 5 figures, low 6 figures, maybe even more, right? He was willing to spend all of that just to get that 6 foot range. He was willing to relearn how to walk again, relearn how to exercise again, relearn how to do, just to be 6 feet, because I don't know what kind of insecurities, maybe he thought he was going to go. It doesn't matter, right? But when I see like the before and after pictures, I'm like, yeah, bro, like I can understand why this will be a huge confident booster for you. You know what I'm saying? I can see why now women might be more attracted to you. And again, there's many arguments of saying he was fine the way he is, whatever. We don't live his experience, so we can't tell him that. But the thing about it, and the underlying thing that I want to get you guys to understand is you have to get into that mode of like, bro, like I'm willing to do whatever it takes. There are guys out there, even celebrities, bro, celebrities who have money, status, the whatever the celebrities have that make them appealing to the opposite sex, whatever. They have all that stuff, and they're going out getting hair transplants. There are other guys, normal guys like you and me, going out there getting hair transplants. There are guys that are over there that are getting Botox. There are guys that are getting what's it called, buccal fat removal, which is like they're trying to get their face a lot more sharper and less round and puffy, right? There's a whole industry for these things. You get what I'm saying? There are people who are willing to get dental work, veneers, braces, whatever, Invisalign. It's like, bro, and these guys, usually, when you look at these guys are not 2 out of 10s, 3s out of 10s, 4s out of 10s, 5s. These guys are like 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s out of 10s doing this stuff. And it's like, bro, if the 9 out of 10 is doing that, you think that you're a little, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you can't, this is why, like, for me personally, I can never, like, feel bad for some individuals. Now, and again, I hope a lot of guys don't latch on to what I'm about to say. There's like a very, very, very small percentage of people, very small percentage of people, you're just effed. I don't know what to tell you, bro. You're just effed. I don't know. I really can't tell you. You're 4'8". Your face is physically deformed in a way that's unfixable, even by surgery. You have a Micro Johnson. You know what I'm saying? Listen, bro. There's some people who are just royally cooked. I take that up with God or whatever universe or creator you believe in, bro. It just is what it is. But that's not the majority of you guys. You know what I'm saying? The majority of you guys, it's like if you were to get a hygiene routine and haircuts regularly, you made sure you dressed okay, and you shot your shot a lot more often, you would get success. There are other guys out there that you might have to do something drastic, bro. Like you might have to go get a hair transplant. You might have to go get Botox. You might have to go get, and again, when I say these things, immediately what society likes to do is they just go in and rag on these guys, right? Oh, you're a grown man and you're getting you're breaking your legs to become 6 feet. Oh, you're a grown man and you're bro. Fuck them, bro. Fuck these. And then again, these are people who are not willing to do what it takes. You get what I'm saying? And again, like I said, I'm not saying like, you know, everything's valid. I even have my biases. You know what I'm saying? For me, I don't take steroids. I don't want to take steroids. I don't think it's worth it in the long run or whatever. But bro, the other day, I seen a guy, he was 20 years old, freaking steroiding it up. And guess what? He has his little online business. He's in a different country. I want to believe he's in, what else? It's some Asian country, right? And he has a nice little hot girlfriend. Like, bro's living it up. At least it looks like on camera. You know what I'm saying? But again, it's like he does what it takes. He was one like, you know what, bro? I'm going to get steroids. I'm going to use steroids. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make sure that blah, blah, blah. You think you think that girl who was of age, you really have to throw that in there. You think that girl who was of age gives a fuck that he's on steroids? No, she doesn't give a fuck. Do you think he cares that he got a hair transplant? No, she doesn't care about that shit either. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't care about anything. And that's what I've learned the hard way. A lot of people don't care. They don't care. As long as you have what it is that you have, they don't care. This is why a lot of people in society like worship rich people. They don't care that that person who is rich owns a sweatshop in freaking Cambodia that's taking advantage of their labor laws and employing children. They don't care. Bro, they don't care. As long as you look rich, you have the lifestyle that they want, or you're able to benefit off of it, they don't care. And I'm not asking them to care, but what I'm trying to get you to understand is that, bro, there are certain limits that you've placed on yourself that isn't even due to your own personal beliefs or your moral beliefs that are based off of your creator. It's simply based off of how society and other people are going to view you. You get what I'm saying? And I really need you to take those Rock Lee weights off, right? I hope you guys get that reference. You have to take those Rock Lee weights off, because I'm telling you, bro, like the people who are putting those limitations on you, they don't care. They don't care. They're just saying anything and everything to make themselves feel better about the situation that they got going on. I was listening to somebody. Who was I listening? I can't tell you his name. I was listening to somebody, and he said something super powerful. He was basically like, people who are willing to argue and debate and they want to intellectually dominate. He didn't say those words, but that's what he meant. Intellectually dominate or try to get their point across on a person. A lot of people do that because it gives them a sense of accomplishment or a sense of power, instead of like pseudo power, instead of actually being able to take the action to get the real thing. I'm trying to make that make sense. Essentially, it's like a lot of people will talk about the world should be this way, instead of adapting to it so they can win, right? Because they don't have it in them to win. Does that make sense? I kind of hope that makes sense. When he said it, I was listening. I was like, oh, that's powerful, right? Because it's like, why are you arguing with somebody? If somebody's trying to get you to not do something that's going to benefit with your life, a lot of people who do that are simply doing that because they don't have the power within themselves to do it for themselves, right? It's like if you told your family members or somebody you work with that you were going to start your own business and try to make it, a lot of people are going to be against that. And again, it's not because they don't believe in you. It's because they don't see themselves having the ability or the power to be able to build something up to that level to free themselves or whatever goal that you have. And so I think that's very powerful that as guys, as men, especially guys who are growing into their masculinity, who are becoming the men that we want to be, it's very important that you operate, one, on that foundational level of, bro, rule number one is survival. This is every man for itself. And two, it's about exploring who you are as a man and what you are willing to do to get the things that you want. You guys know I am in a completely different country. I am willing to learn a new language. I am willing to travel and leave a lot of things behind to get the things that I want. And I recognize that in myself. It's like a no-brainer to me. But when I listen to guys talk about the dating culture or talk about the West falling or talking about, men aren't treated well or da-da-da-da, my first brain is like, what are you doing about it? You know what I'm saying? And again, it goes back to that thing that guy said, where simply that most people just want to talk about things because, again, they don't have the power or they're just not willing to do whatever it takes so they can put themselves in a position to win. And so I'm hoping that this talk with you guys kind of inspires you to say, you know what? The reason why I'm not doing X, Y, and Z isn't because I'm not capable of it. It's simply because I value the opinions of things that doesn't even matter, of people that don't even care. That has nothing to do with my own morals or my own beliefs or boundaries that is set by your creator. You get what I'm saying? So I think that this has been a great talk. I hope you guys benefited from this as much as possible. If you made it this far, let me know down in the comments. Type in "made it this far." And also, whatever you guys, I want to know your thoughts on it. Let me know, positive, negative, in between. I'd like to hear it. I appreciate you guys for listening. I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, peace out.